but I just wanted to talk a little bit about just how we got here. Everyone keeps on asking, I'm sure you're getting the same question, how are you feeling, how are you doing? And what I keep on telling people is, good thing is I've lost before, I've gotten better at it, not good at it yet, but I know what we need to do is rest, we need to recover, we need to reflect, and we need to do so, right? And that's what we've done all along. I remember my first presidential campaign that I was a part of was in 2000. I was heartbroken that night, and heartbroken again. The election was decided several weeks later. But we had some bright lights, right? That out of that election cycle, someone named Hillary Clinton was elected to Senate, and obviously, became a big leader in this party, even bigger than she was before. But we rested, we reflected, we recovered, and we started rebuilding, and we started thinking about what things we needed to sort of rebuild and move on to the next election. That was, to my knowledge, in my memory, the first time we talked about a national voter file at the DNC. I think it was called DNC, there's no way it was called that. But we talked about data, right? Making sure that we were actually talking to voters we said we could talk to. We talked about voter protection, right? I think everyone remembers the hang chads and the importance of having not only organizers that will turn out to vote, make sure people can vote, but also the votes get counted. And yeah, that was a huge lesson we learned. We also talked about coalitions, right? I know that we did coalitions work to some communities, but the unreturned calls to leadership at the DNC, that was the first time that I've heard. Some of you may have been part of this. I remember hearing that for the first time there was a person representing the Asian American community, Latino community, Native American community, Black community, union communities, who had a direct line to Chairman Terry McAuliffe every single day to make sure these communities had their voices heard. And obviously, Chairman Terry McAuliffe helped put us in build a home for us at the DNC, the headquarters right where we're at now. In 2004, my guy, the guy I first worked for, the first paycheck I got in politics, John Kerry ran for president. And a few others, many in this room who did it as well, including King Martin. My heart was broken again. But again, there were some bright lights. Ken Salazar of Colorado is elected, the first Latino Democrat to get elected to the Senate. This guy named Barack Obama, who got elected to the Senate, first black Democratic senator, I think at the time. And that turned out to be pretty good. And we came out of that talking about this idea that we need to reaffirm this 50-state strategy, right? We talked about not only having a national voter file, but making it accessible to state parties, having it be uniform, making it available to campaigns. And the DNC, under Howard Dean's leadership, Chairman Howard Dean's leadership, along with the state parties, got together and just figured out how to build this 50-state strategy. It wasn't just going to be a tagline, it was going to be an agreement, a document that bind this all together, not only with the national voter file, but how do we actually support that? Supporting that with monthly support from the DNC, the state parties, to help pay for voter file managers, to help support that. Creating a platform, working with a platform to get it available and accessible to state parties and through state parties to every single candidate up and down the ballot if they choose to. That was sort of the foundational block, and that's was, I think, revolutionized the DNC and the partnership that we have with state parties, and frankly, we see that the partnership that state parties have with candidates up and down the ballot. That's a big deal, right? 2016, again, our hearts were broken. Obviously, Hillary lost, all of us worked hard on that campaign as well. But there were some other bright lights, right? We had Tammy Duckworth, right?
There's the audio.
Vice chair of the DNC herself.
Is that where you get your own? You'd have to ask one of those two guys.
Voice for the party. Maggie Hassan, a friend of mine, who was an organizer who came all the way up to the state house and became the United States Senator in New Hampshire. And obviously, Kamala Harris, who obviously you all fought so hard for, to become vice president, and obviously this fall for president of the United States. Those were bright lights, but we didn't just sit on that. We took an opportunity to rest, recover, reflect, and we talked about the things that we need to do better. Right? We need to be better with data. We need to be better attack. We need to make sure we're stronger with cybersecurity. We need to professionalize the DNC. We need to have HR departments in campaigns. We need to keep data and keep track, making sure that our contracts are equitable, our staff can reflect people who are important to understand. Those are huge gains that Chairman Tom Perez made at the DNC with all of you. And then we also developed the SPIF program, the State Party Innovation Fund, making funds available beyond SPD, beyond the monthly payments that we provide to state parties as part of the DSR to to make sure that state parties can, have tailored investments that go to their states to win these elections. First time ever we have done that. And on top of that, just making further investments in technology and protection through outlook.com. In 2020, we finally won. Yay! But huge credit to Chairman Jamie Harrison, to President Ken Martin, from the ASDC, all the state party chairs here, and obviously President Biden and Vice President Kamala Harris. This time we invested, we recovered, we celebrated a win, and we learned, and reflected and learned and took the lessons that things that work and we rebuilt and we came back stronger. So under Jamie Harrison, we built on all these things, right? We have a larger coalition than we ever had before. Through that coalition team, which represented as many, different demographics as we possibly could, make sure we made investments early in paid media, in earned media, making sure that we're, making opportunities to hire organizers on the ground early, work with our communications team to make sure that we're, communicating with people in language, in culturally competent ways. That's a big deal, right? As Molly was talking about before, yes, we've seen some shifts, right? And we have some headwinds, we have things to learn, but we have to talk to people and we have to meet them where they are, right? Building off of the agreements that we had, the historic ones, that started with Howard Dean and Tom Perez, Jamie Harrison and the state party chairs reached an agreement, first time 4-year agreement, that would increase SPP payments, monthly payments from no strings attached to state parties by 25% to $12,500 a month, right? And then for red states, on top of that, an additional $2,500 a month, no strings attached for a total of $15,000 a month, just to make sure that states have the basic resources to run basic operations of, voter file manager. In some cases, making sure that people have just offices that can open and function properly, especially in red states. That's a big deal. As Jamie talked about before, we also, for the very, very first time, made sure that we made funds available to the 8, 9, 10 million voters abroad who are living overseas to make sure that we're able to reach them, we're able to connect them, turn them out, and make sure they vote in critical elections. $300,000 every cycle for Democrats abroad. And on top of that, obviously, funding available to our territories that have FEC accounts. All that is just building on what we've done before. I'm not going to sit here and say that the DNC alone wins elections. I'm not even saying that these grants that, as Jamie said, for the first time, all 51 states, receive some kind of funding through this SPIF program. That's not it. It's campaigns that win elections. It's state parties that help drive these elections. The DNC needs to do its part to provide the basic infrastructure that Arthur and Marquita were talking about to make sure that these things can happen and happen easily, so you guys are talking to voters and communicating in the elections. This is not about this is not just us winning elections here. This is a recommitment to our values. This is a recommitment to our partnership. This is a recommitment to the things that we think are important. Coming out of an election whether we win or lose. These things, SPIF, SPP, Red State Fund, Deputy Guard, tooling, all these things are a reaffirmation and commitment to things that we think are important that we have to do together. And Joe Biden, Kamala Harris, Jamie Harrison, Sam Cornell, did that in the last cycle. So coming out of 2024, my heart is broken again. And we must reflect, we must recover, we must rest. But we also want to celebrate the wins that Marquita talked about with Lisa Blunt Rochester, with Angela also Brooks, with Sarah McBride, the Ruben guy with the first Latino within the Senate in Arizona. And we're going to do that. But the DNC, as Jamie says, is strong. We're in a strong position than we've ever been before. But we have to, again, rest when we can, recover, and that's different from resting, right? Turns out that we run on adrenaline for a year, that's not normal, right? Reflect, learn, and then reaffirm, recommit, and figure out the next way, what the next DNC is going to look like to make sure that we continue to reaffirm those values that are really important. Each one of these things I talked about, again, they don't win elections alone, right? But it is a recommitment to what we say we care about. And I also happen to think all these things are things that are required in this election. So thank you for all you've done to get us through. This is our last executive committee meeting with all of you. The work doesn't end here, and we had many discussions over the course of time. But just remember, in each one of these instances, I'm sure before that, we have built, we have rebuilt, we have learned, we built the top of these things. Let's keep on doing that.
Thank
you
you
all.
I want to apologize to my niece to cut my talking and remarks in here. There were several slides that were supposed to come up that you could see that sort of illustrated some of the stuff that we were talking about. I'll quickly bring them up. Again, I'm trying to cut how much I'm talking so that you all heard, but again, this one about DNC increasing baseline party by 25% over 2020, 66% over 2016. Next slide. This one is the DNC invested the median amount over the course of these 4 years, $1.25 million, and this is how it breaks down. State party partnership, about $587,000 for core party. That's basically the $12,500 a month that every state party gets. Then there's the additional $2,500 a month that red state funds, in terms of red state funds that red state parties get. There's several electoral grants. Again, I think the SBC, Ken and his team, this negotiating team for helping to really build this out and flush this out. The State Party Victory Fund, as you all know, this is a long-term program that the DNC has had with our state parties. About $175,000 raised for our state parties through that. And through all of the investments that Arthur talked about earlier, at a median it averages about $204,000. Buying cell phone numbers is expensive. So it's the extremely expensive way to just continue to update the file. Next slide. From 2021 to 24, no state received less than $822,000 from the DNC. And I am very, very proud of that.
Thank you so much.
I believe that should be before. And the average DNC support for the smallest funded 10 states was $917,000. And this is building and retaining donor support. This is basically showing fundraising from 2017 to 2024. And you see the steep incline that we've had in terms of fundraising in the party over the course of a few years. And I am proud to say that this DNC, with all of you, has raised more money than any other DNC ever has in the past. So very, very and just so that you all see the difference between coming after 2016 and after 2024, look at this. Dem majorities in state legislative chambers after 2016, 31, we're now at 39. Dems in U.S. House, after 2016, it was 194, we're at 215. We're going to take the House back to 26. Dem governors, we're sitting at 23, and we have a lot of governor races, particularly in the South, in the 2026 race. That is going to be my post-chairmanship. What I do is, as Jimmy Carter did better work as a former president than as president, I hope to do better work as a former chair than I did as chair. But my goal is particularly in the South, looking at those governor's races and those Senate races, to see a new South emerge. And that is where I want to see. So there's a lot to feel great with. And I just want to end this with this. And I hope my team, Roger, Arthur, Marquita, and Monica, you stick around for a second. But I do want to, let me just open up for, where's Ron? Are you going to kill me? Can I open up for a few questions for folks that I saw around? And again, folks, I don't need you to give a dissertation. I just need you to ask a question so that we can get them all in, because I know people have questions. So from the team, and then I just want to close this chapter, and then we move to the, I know we got tight time frames, people got flights to leave and all that stuff, so very, very quick. So if we can do rapid fire, and we just go, Bell, I saw you. Go ahead.
Okay, I do want to say something first. What has been presented over the last few minutes is a lot of good news. A lot of good news that we should have been hearing for the last 4 years. I think that we as Democrats, I want to say we're two Asians. This is shorthand for saying we do good, but we don't take the crisis. I think we need, in this case, we need to make sure that the world knows what kind of good work we've been doing. All of that is to say that if we compare this to, and I'll pick one question specifically. When Monica was talking about contracting, I know Virgie and I and Iris in the room we have been talking about minority contracting for quite a few years. And over the years, this has been increasing in numbers. I see the number of $50 million. What I would like to know from the team is, what is that in relative to in kind of total spend? That's one. But I want to do one more thing in terms of making sure that we get the word out about what has been done. Because a lot of people are blaming the DNC for failures. And I think that's wrong because of everything that's been done. And it's been shown here, we need those words to get out. Okay, so anyway, my question, my very specific question is, what is that in relative to? And I am very happy to know the increase, but at some point we'd like to know the definition.
Yeah, no, thank the chair, thank you for that question. I don't have that number disaggregated in that way. As you know, most of our funding goes to state parties, as it should, and obviously a lot of them are running program in their states as well. That said, there's obviously a paid media that we had done in conjunction with First Biden and Harris campaign and the Harris Walls campaign earlier than ever back in 2022. With API community, as you were in the first televised TV ad broadcast in some of these battleground states featuring Native American, Latino in language ads, and obviously ads targeted with Black communities as well. We've also done extensive advertising with the Native American community, both before the Biden campaign started and obviously throughout as well. In addition to that, obviously the in-language service that we provided, with I Will Vote, and also some of the materials services that we provided to state parties with things that we've done. So I'll make sure we get a dollar amount for that, because I think it's an important thing for us to be able to talk about. But I'm very proud of the work that Lindsay Berry, who was our coalition director, later political director, and then Colin did as well, the entire team.
So we'll get that number to you and to the entire committee so that you get understanding that. Thank you.
Chair Harrison, first, thank you for building a team that respects and invests in state parties. First for the last chair in 2017, we had 504 Democrats elected. We now have 1,025 Democrats elected in Nebraska.
That's
So
awesome.
that's real investment, real change. On I Will Vote, my question was going to be about, I think it is absolutely critical that we quadruple the number of resources that we're doing into I Will Vote into partisan voter registration. I think it was a real mistake when Democracy Alliance got started that all the partisan voter reg money went to C3s, which is why we're seeing all these independents register. So I think just as a DNC and as state parties, we need to recommit to partisan voter registration.
I wholeheartedly agree, and that was one thing, and I think that was a big mistake in this 2024 cycle, that we didn't do more voter registration, and this is not to say, I love all of our friends, our outside friends who do voter reg, and that's great, but it is important for us to be strategic with our voter registration that we do here. We know what our targets are, where we're doing, where we're putting resources, and I think it's important for us to be strategic in voter registration and to see that as a part of once again, the mission of the VA.
Mr. Chairman, just really fast on that idea is that state parties and the DNC outside of the federal election window, you can spend a lot more diverse funding sources, let's say, in doing partisan voter registration if it's not under the federal election window. And so we have to be smart about early investment when it's about voter registration, and that's the ability to raise a lot of dollars, but also targeted in partisanship.
Amen to that. Amen to that. Ms. Virgie, did you have a question also? Okay. Yeah, go ahead, Dave.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I don't want to belabor it, but it's a tech question, and I know everyone hears it. Convince me that our scoring on our voter file is right.
I'm not going to stand here and try to convince you, or we would be having a very different conversation right now overall. The top line stuff, right? I think we are, internally, we are not, I think we are directionally very, very happy and saw a lot of the results kind of solidified as we're starting to see history come back in and continue to do that. I'm not going to say that we are perfect with this, but one thing I will say we're really good at is assessing what worked and what didn't and not letting it happen again. I think that's our commitment is we've invested a lot over the last 2 years, and we've never really done is invest in understanding vote history trends and then correcting around those. this is gonna be a huge feedback loop for us to not, to understand what changed and what changed kind of rapidly across different groups and correct there. We know race and sub-ethnicity as a score was also one that we know we have to get better at. Heard a lot of great feedback from state parties last week, and we're gonna continue to invest in support race, ethnicity, and number of percentage scores. Feedback.
Thank you. Okay, so I don't think we have any more questions. I'm gonna quickly just wrap up this section and then we'll go to our RBC report after that. But to wrap this up, you know, we often talk about Dr. King, and there's a quote that he said, "We must accept finite disappointment, but never lose infinite hope." You know, throughout our nation's history, we've faced challenges, we've experienced heartbreak and witnessed tragedy, but through it all, we always found hope. And while the election results didn't go our way, I have faith in our country and in our people, and I know we will persevere through this moment and come out of it stronger and more united than we've ever done before. I want y'all, staff, pull up the chart. I'm going to briefly say something to you all. So that Thursday when I got back home, my kids were in school, my wife was upstairs, and I went up there and she looked at me and she said, "Are you okay?" And I said, "No, I'm not." And then I looked at her and I said, "Are you okay?" And she said to me, "What will it take in this country for a black woman?" And I went into the bathroom and I broke down and cried. What will it take in this country for a black woman? Folks, I want you all to understand, and I know, and I've said this, and newspapers have reported that Jamie's doubling down on identity politics and this and that. This is what I want you all to understand. When you see 90% of black women go to the polls time and time again, when you see African American men, even 80%, even if there's a slippage, 80% going time and time. When you see all of our communities, the difference of communities, when we wake up, we are who we are. When we go to sleep, we are who we are. We face different things because of who we are. And we can't put blinders on to think that it is all the same, because it is not, my friends. When I first ran for state party chair in South Carolina, coming after my dear friend, Carol Fowler, and then Dick Harpoonian, people were saying to me, "Well, I don't know if we can have a black chair in South Carolina, because I don't know if you can raise the same amount of money as the other folks."
Yes. Yes.
That's what folks said. When I ran for the United States Senate, they're like, "Well, I don't know, can black folks raise the money in order to run for the U.S. Senate?" Take it over this job. And so I'm saying this, I'm not saying it in identity, but I'm saying it as a person, like as a black man who is stepping into this space. The reality of the situation. You are seen in this country, not always for the work that you do, but what people see first and foremost. And it is hard, as someone who comes from this community, who feels like it gives so much to protect democracy, to hear the argument that say, "Well, you know what, the identity politics and all that, it should go the way of the dodo bird," and all this other craziness. Because what it says to me is, well, I don't know if we need to be talking about the issues that are important to black folks. I don't know if we need to talk about the issues that are important to the AAPI community, or the Latino community, or the LGBTQ community, or the white community, right? Because this is a big tent party where everybody should have a seat at the table. Everyone, regardless of who you are, should feel welcome. And we, my friends, are the party of hope. That is who we are. And we have to embrace that. And we have to embrace that because we are diverse, challenges will come. Because in diversity are challenges. But the end product of diversity is a much stronger thing, a much stronger product. Because you have all of these thoughts, all of these folks, all of these experiences sitting at the table. And the thought that we as a party can't talk about those things, can't reflect on those things, can't bring us all together, to me is not the Democratic Party.
Right.
I am sorry, but winning elections is not more important than doing what is the right thing to do. Because when you do the right thing, you will win elections. Because people will genuinely feel like you are fighting for them, that you see them, that you hear them, but most importantly, that you value them.
Yeah.
When I ran in 2020, I put my heart and soul in it. And now you go on, people like, I don't know why we wasted all that money. Because people in my damn state needed hope.
Yeah.
They didn't have any. This picture I got from a man that I was walking in the airport. I was coming back home from some fundraising trip as DNC chair. And he said to me, "Are you Jamie Harris?" I said, "Yes, sir." He said, "For 3 years now, I've been looking to meet you. Because when you ran for the Senate in South Carolina in 2020, all my daughter talked about was you. And she made me promise that if I ever saw you, that I would show you this picture." And he scrolled through his phone and he found this picture. Because, my friends, I didn't win, but I gave this little girl some hope. My son William was 5 years old. This was on August 27, 2020, during my U.S. Senate race. He was playing with his Lego and he just started talking to me about hope. And I took my phone out and he didn't even know it. And I hit record. Just to hear him talk about this. Folks, play this.
Say it again.
I said, hope is dreams. It will eventually come, but they don't come as soon as you do it. You have to wait a while for your hope dream to come true.
That's a pretty good one too.
My friends, that was no coaching. That was my son saying, he said he was my junior campaign manager. And he was giving me campaign ads for, and he said, hope and dreams, and it may not come soon, but it will come. That is why we do this work. That is why we make these investments. That is why we have to continue this fight. And we don't need titles. I don't need to be chair to continue to fight for hope for all Americans. But we have to be committed to doing that, and we can't be shy about doing that, and we can't let anybody intimidate us in not doing what we know is the right thing to do. So I'm going to continue to stand up for this party. I'm going to continue to push back against people who disparage this party. And I don't care if you're a Democrat or a Republican, but if you say something about this party that is fighting for hope, then hell, you got to fight with me. So I just want to say once again, from the bottom of my heart, thank you all for giving me the opportunity to do this. But thank you all for doing this work alongside with me each and every day. And I really, really appreciate that, and I'm thankful for each and every one. So thank you. We have some work to do, and I know we got some folks with flights to make. I want to go to our RBC co-chairs. Is it, we doing officer updates? Which one is it? Oh, officer updates. I'd like to ask our officers to share their reports. And I know, Chris, you have to go, so I'm going to go with you first. I want to move to our National Finance Chair, Chris Korch. Chris, will you share your report? Good afternoon.
Well, one thing for sure I know is that one of the greatest honors of my life has been leading our finance efforts since 2019. And when you hear the results, you'll understand why I am so proud of what we've done. We've made history in fundraising, and it's because of a lot of people that worked hard. For me, it started in 2019 when Tom Perez asked me to come back to the DNC and raise money, 28 extra million with him, to put that money to work with infrastructure and have money that would be available for whoever our nominee was. And I can tell you unequivocally that had we not done that, we would not have had the same jump start we had when Joe Biden became our nominee. Infrastructure, infrastructure, infrastructure. We've heard all about it today. State parties, up and down the ballot. That's what we need to do. And it's been an honor for me to lead the best finance team I have ever worked with in 30 years to do this. And I have to thank our chair, Jamie Harrison, because he has been a relentless partner with me and me with him, traveling around the country and raising money all these years. And I also want to point out a couple other people up here that have done an incredible job. My partner here, Virginia McGregor, who's raised an incredible amount of money. Ken, thank you. Ken told me, Chris, I am a raiser too, and he delivered for the Harris campaign and also for the Biden campaign. And Henry Munoz, another person. All of these people, all of you that contributed, and the 2,533 members of our National Finance Committee, and it's not easy to qualify to be on the National Finance Committee. I believe it's the largest National Finance Committee we've ever had. So what did we do? Well, no one can ever argue that what we did wasn't the most successful thing that either party ever did. We raised $2.15 billion from the day that Joe Biden announced, April 2023, all the way through when Vice President Harris became our nominee. That's almost twice as much as, or maybe even more than twice as much as Hillary Clinton or President Obama raised. We outraised the other side by leapfrogs. Money was not our issue, and quite frankly, either was our infrastructure. But we do have an issue in our party, and somehow or another, we're losing black men, we're losing Hispanic men, and we got to examine it. And I urge everyone in this party, when we get to the next group of officers, that we focus on it, because we have the resources, we have the infrastructure, but we're missing something. So I just want to say to you, Chair Harrison, that I know you've taken a lot of crap from people. You know, when you don't win, you always do. But I can tell you that you have done one of the most incredible jobs, and I am so proud to have worked side by side with you, and as well as with all the officers in this party. It is about the people, and it is about our values. And I want you to know that our biggest donors, they care about that. They're not looking for a tax break. They're helping us make sure they pay more taxes. Okay? And they're there. And they want to be involved in this party. And I got to tell you, we got to do a better job at getting donors to feel like they're part of this process. Because it is going to be very difficult to raise money now. I think it's going to be much more difficult in 2017. So it takes everyone here to do what they got to do. So I want to thank you. I want to thank specifically Michael Pratt and Colleen Coffey and our finance team. I am not kidding you. They did an amazing job. So thank you all. and that's my report. Oh, one last thing. The DNC, separate from our joint, account with the campaigns, we raised $800 million in 4 years. That is amazing. And we don't have any debt. I'm sorry, but I'll let you say that now. Thank you very much.
Next, our great treasurer, Virginia McGregor.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Despite the unfortunate outcome of the election, the DNC ended this cycle in a solid financial position. And we should all be very proud of that. As you all know, we take very seriously the trust that donors put in us to be good stewards of their funds, and we're careful and strategic about their use. This cycle, we invested our record-breaking funds in strengthening the Democratic Party and reaching voters through innovative, high return on investment initiatives. This cycle, we sent more than $260 million through a combination of direct investments, tech, tools, and data to our state parties, making sure that Democrats were competing in elections up and down the ballot. In every corner of the nation, we invested nearly $7 million in our I Will Vote advertising, which equips voters with the resources they need to vote freely, and we reached more voters from more communities and more outlets than ever before. And that's not all. We sent over $23 million to state parties as part of SPP, Red State, and SPIF. And finally, we spent over $6 million on the IWillVote.com advertising through constituency firms. This putting our money where our mouths are, driving real programming and resources into community investments that will pay dividends into the future. And before I wrap up, I want to be clear. No debt was reported for any of our entities, including our joint fundraising committees and the DNC. Our most recent FEC report showed that we have $47.2 million cash on hand. And through much of that is restricted money that will ensure that the DNC is well equipped to support any legal challenges brought by Trump and the RNC, and that we can cover headquarters costs this upcoming cycle. So let's get to work. Thank you.
Thank you, Ken. Next, we'll hear from our ASDC President and Vice Chair, Kim Martin.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. It's been an honor to serve in this role as the ASDC President since 2017. And just as a reminder, when I came into this role on the heels of a really disastrous election, the DNC was $76 million in debt. Our data infrastructure was far behind the Republicans. And of course, our state parties had been hollowed out, organizing for America over the prior 8 years. Thanks to the partnership of so many in this room, we were able to take the 50-state party strategy, now the 57-state strategy, to the next level. And I'd particularly like to thank Chairman Harrison for his partnership working to build capacity and permanent infrastructure in the states under his leadership. Now, thanks to his work and Chairman Perez's work before him, the foundation of this party is strong. No debt, as you just heard Virginia say. Our data infrastructure has leapfrogged the Republican data infrastructure, and our state parties are stronger than ever before. Thank you, Chairman Harrison, for your partnership. This year, we were able to increase the amount of state party partnership funding for state parties, where our state parties received tying funding to strategic plans and programs rather than to individual staff members. We instituted a Red State Fund to better support state parties that don't have in-state elected leaders to spearhead their fundraising and organizing efforts. We worked to secure earlier programmatic investments in state parties, both through SPIF and other avenues to support their electoral work. We worked with Democrats abroad to expand their fundraising efforts so we can level up our vote from abroad efforts in key races in critical states. We put together great training programs to help state party staff and their in-state activists, including holding 2 incredible boot camps in St. Louis and Baltimore to make receiving in-person training more accessible for party staffers. We made investments in our data ecosystem and built a really incredible partnership between the DNC tech and security teams and our state parties, including renewing our state party participation in the Democratic Data Exchange. And I cannot fail to acknowledge the partnership that we had with Mignon Moore and Alex Hornbrook, thanks to their work and our partnership, we were able to execute a really successful national convention, which gave all of our state parties not only the great experience they needed, but the energy that they needed to go back to their states to help us win up and down the ballot. I also want to thank all of you in this room. I visited over 40 states in the last year, many of them with Chairman Harrison and other officers. I visited all 7 battleground states and canvassed in all of them, knocking on doors for our candidates up and down the ballot. The investments we've made into state parties have leveled up all of our work, not just within those 57 state and territorial parties, but at the national level as well. We're stronger when we build from the ground up, and when we organize in all 3,244 counties, in all 57 state parties, 365 days a year, contesting every race up and down the ballot, not just playing in presidential battlegrounds. This upcoming transition period, this upcoming transition period is an opportunity for us to create and implement a strategy for the next decade. One built on really listening to people about what voters need to see from our party. Lastly, while I'm sad to be leaving this organization, the ASBC, is stronger than it's ever been. Not because of my leadership, but because of all the state party chairs and vice chairs who've leaned into this conversation, many of them sitting around this table, who believe in the role of our party is not just to win election, but actually to improve people's lives, and work tirelessly every single day in the trenches, a lot of time without fanfare, to do this work. And I say to all the other candidates for chair out there, let me say what I said to every incoming party chair the first time I talked to them. If you're here for glory, there's no glory to be found. Being a party chair is the political equivalency of being a fire hydrant, right? Everyone pisses on you. You get none of the credit when you win, you get all the blame when you lose. If you're doing your job right, you're saying no more than you're saying yes, meaning you have far fewer friends at the end of it than when you started. But every chair and vice chair around this table knows what I'm talking about. Because they're doing this work because they believe in our party, they believe in our values, they believe in making a difference. I just wanted to thank all of them for your partnership. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Ken. Vice Chairman Lewis.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I was really touched by your comments. I think that's why I wanted to be here so badly today. I don't know, I needed to be in a room with people that I knew and worked with who are feeling what I'm feeling and seeing what I'm seeing, right? And who are united, I think, by the fact that things can get better. I'm probably not, you may regret, I'm not going to stick to my script. I do think that there are things that I can look to. I'm not just a member of one community, right? But I think in terms of the Latino community, you know, there are things that I can look at and be very proud of. We've raised more money, we organized ourselves differently. Internally, I think that there are bright spots, but something is not right. And so I used to design buildings. The first 20 years of my life, I spent it in architecture and urban planning, and the best building, the most award-winning building I ever designed, when I was so proud, I took my design into that room with the client, and they told me that's exactly what I don't want. And that process of looking at our ways and our identity and the way that we talk to people and the things that are not right is so incredibly important. And that's really what we need to be doing right now, being honest with each other about taking, yes, the successes, but also taking the challenges and use them, I think, to design a new building, an architecture of a party that is more reflective of where we are in the 21st century, and that helps remind people, working people, that we're their party. And for some reason that isn't happening. It's so complex today, and so I agree with you. I don't have to be an officer or even a member of the executive committee to figure out how to help bring that conversation together in honesty. But whatever that is, I want you all I mean, we've been around a long time together, right? You know me, I dress okay, and I do raise a lot of money. But I also have always told you the truth, right? I've always told you the truth, so I'm here to work with you to help design that new identity, that infrastructure of this party to help put us back on track. And not only in the Latino community or the LGBTQ community, but in the community of the United States. I'm really glad that I came today and really glad that I was here to listen, and I pledge my hard work to help improve things.
Thank you, my friend. And now, our Secretary Jason Ray.
Well, thank you, Mr. Chair, and thank you for your leadership and friendship over all this. I think one of the highlights for me as we look back the last few months is actually getting to spend a week with you on a bus traveling around this country doing the amazing work. So thank you for your leadership. But to say we've had a busy year in the Office of the Secretary would be an understatement. This year, my office, as all of you know, is tasked with the responsibility of certifying every elected convention delegate, participant, all of our automatic delegates, standing committee members, delegation chairs, pages. We ended up certifying over 5,700 convention participants, 5,712 to be exact. And during the certification process, we really worked to collect the biographical and diversity information on convention participants that really allowed us to tell the story of what our party looks like and that our party looks like our country. This was a process that we started in November of 2023 when we worked with the DNC tech team to really build out and certify. But one thing in particular I'm really proud of in the last few months is the opportunity that we had working with the convention team and in particular with our state parties to build out a system to have our delegates create a new nominating process where in just a few days we could turn around and let our 4,700 delegates put forward a nominee and then vote on that nominee so that we could get on the ballot in every single state. And I was very happy, Mr. Chair, to report that we had 4,567 of our delegates cast votes in that vote for our party's nominee. And that could not have been done without the support of each and every single state party. So Ken, thank you, and thank you to our state chairs and their teams for their work in helping turn those around so quickly. Just a couple membership updates. Since we last convened in Chicago in August, following the convention, we have certified 18 new members to the DNC and recertified 19 members. We've also conducted a few new orientations to really ensure that the membership DNC member experience is really meaningful from day one for all of our new DNC members. I know that we are, as we continue to look forward, as all of you know, our next full DNC membership meeting will be in National Harbor, Maryland, Thursday, January 30th to Saturday, February 1st, 2025. This will be the 8th full membership meeting that my team and I have planned since January 21 on top of 6 executive committee meetings outside of our full meetings. So keep an eye out on your email, in your inbox over the next few weeks as we will share additional information on the meeting. We did send out a save the date on Wednesday, which included the registration form and a booking link for the hotel. So please look for that email. Again, the save the date went on Wednesday. Please be sure to register. We encourage you and any staff you're bringing to RSVP so that we can plan accordingly for the meeting. That booking link, again, is included in that. We will be continuing to send additional updates as we get closer to that meeting at the end of January. But as always, if my team or I can be of any assistance or if you have any questions, please never hesitate to reach out. We are always here and available for our DNC members. So thank you.
Thank you, Jason. Let's give it all up for our officers. Thank you all for your service. As most of you know, the Rules and Bylaws Committee met last night to approve a recommendation to the DNC, the rules of procedure that will govern the officer elections that will take place at the next DNC meeting. These will be voted on by the full DNC at our winter meeting. RBC co-chairs Jim Roosevelt and Mignon Moore are here to provide us with an update on the meeting. Jim and Mignon.
Thank you, Chair and members. It's good to see you again, and all of a sudden it's good to see some future members. Yesterday, the Rules and Bylaws Committee met and recommended for approval the rules of procedure for the 2025 election of Democratic National Committee officers. The rules of procedure will be voted upon by DNC members at the winter meeting in National Harbor, Maryland. But until that time, the proposed rules, as approved by the RBC, will provide guidance to candidates and staff. The rules of procedure delineate the process for the nomination and election of officers. My co-chair and I will walk through the top lines with you today. Broadly, the rules of procedure were drafted based on the rules of procedure for our last in-person process in 2017, with advancements made in the 2021 process incorporated. We have also edited gendered language and provided for the inclusion of non-binary candidates. With regard to the nominating process, candidates must submit a nominating statement and petitions of 40 current DNC members by January 25, 2025, to be placed on the ballot for election. The low threshold was a topic of significant discussion for the membership of the RBC, and I expect that future rules and bylaws committees will likely revisit the topic. Chair candidates will have 10 minutes for nominating speeches, which may be used for up to 4 speakers. Other officers will have 5 minutes, which may be used for up to 3 speakers. All speakers must be DNC members at the discretion of the chair. I now turn it over to Mignon to discuss portions of the rules of procedure impacting the election process itself.
Thank you, and thank you, Mr. Chairman, for your leadership over these last 4 years. It's been an honor to serve with you. Thank you, Jim, for the top lines on the nominating portion of the rules of procedure. Each officer's election is by majority vote. Should a candidate not secure a majority of votes cast by members of the DNC in person or by proxy, there will be a subsequent ballot. Beginning at the second ballot, the lowest vote-getting candidate will be automatically eliminated. In the past, there have sometimes been negotiations between candidates to change offices and allow for a smoother election process. We wanted to make sure that the procedures for that practice are clear. We have added language to allow for candidates to withdraw from one office and run for another if they properly notify the chair before the election of the original or new offices. Similarly, in the past, we have suspended the rules in order to allow for subsequent elections to occur while prior elections are being counted. We have added language to the rules of procedure to allow for this so that a suspension of the rules is not necessary. Language has been added to ensure flexibility, added for adjusting the time of the voting period at the discretion of the chair. We have also lengthened the warning time to 30 seconds rather than 10 seconds to make it more useful. Additionally, we clarified language to reflect that the campaigns will be available to review election results after the election rather than after each ballot, in line with the practice from 2017. We have included language which requires proxies to be provided to the Secretary's office no later than 24 hours in advance of the vote. This will help the counting process significantly, and we have included a provision for members who are in person at the meeting to designate a proxy. Finally, rules of procedure now include the process for filling a vacancy of the national chair or other officers should that be necessary at a later date. We are looking forward to a fair and transparent election process. The rules and procedures are available on the website, and the Office of Party Affairs are available to answer any questions. Thank you for your time.
And I would just like to say what a great honor it's been to serve with Mignon Moore as co-chair of the Rules and Bylaws Committee. Those of us who saw the great work that you contributed to our RBC committee We're just astounded that you could simultaneously run such a fabulous convention. So, thank you all for your attention, and we'll turn it back to the chair.
Thank you both for your leadership and for ushering the RBC through the development of a transparent and fair election process. Before we close out today's meeting, we invited candidates for officer positions to join us for remarks. Each candidate has been asked to provide brief 1 minute remarks. We have determined the speaking order by lot, and we'll hear from each position in the following order: Chair, Treasurer, Secretary, National Finance Chair, Vice Chair for Civic Engagement and Voter Participation, and Vice Chair at Large. Again, 1 minute. We'll start with the DNC Chair position. Will Alexander will introduce each candidate.
James Scoofus, please join us at the podium to start us off.
Good afternoon, everybody, and thank you for having me. I've spoken with many of you and many DNC members over the past couple of weeks. I've heard a lot of pronunciations of my name, ranging from Scofus to Scoufus. Last night I heard Scoosis. And look, you can call me whatever you like. I don't care. It's a lot better than what the Republicans back home call me, whom I beat every couple of years in my races. But my name is James Scoofus, and it's nice to meet all of you. Now, here's the one takeaway in the minute that I've got that I'd like you to take away from this. The last time there was a DNC chair's race, Ray Buckley got up at one of the forums, and as a vice chair, he said, "I don't know anything that goes on within the DNC." And now 8 years later, I've heard that same common refrain in the vast majority of the folks that I've spoken with. And so I will look to decentralize this position, invest a lot more decision-making power into your capable hands and the broader DNC membership. So if we're going to be the Big Ten party, that has to start at home. Thank you for all your work on behalf of Democrats, and I hope to earn your support in the coming weeks.
Next, we'll hear from Martin O'Malley.
Good afternoon. First announcement, you're all invited to lunch afterwards over at Yotel, directly across the street. And my campaign manager, Latoya Jones, said to tell you it's real food. My name's Martin O'Malley. I'm the former mayor of Baltimore, land of the free, home of the brave, where we understand that our diversity is our strength, that we're all in this together, and that we need to help each other if we're going to succeed. I want to thank all of you for your patriotic work, what you've done to forward this party over these last 4 years. And in conclusion, let me say that I am the only candidate in this race that has proven his chops as a turnaround leader, most recently at Social Security and at the state and at the city. I'm the only candidate in this race that has chaired the national committee, namely the Democratic Governors Association, where we expanded our map and we had 3 years of record fundraising. Chris said it best. It's going to be hard in the years ahead. I can lead us out of this time and lead us to victory in the next battles ahead. Thank you very much.
We'll now hear from Robert Putin.
Thank you all for the time to be here. I worked for Ted Kennedy. Like Jamie, ran for the U.S. Senate. Had the same result. Unfortunately, I was outspent by $100 million. But what we do need is a messenger, a fighter, and a fundraiser, and a new generational leader. I believe that leader has to be under 60 years old. And the first fight we have, I heard from RFK Jr. this morning, is on this vaccine. He's trying to cancel, restrict, eliminate the polio vaccine. This is very serious business, and I want your vote, and I'm willing to work for it. And I'm a fighter first and foremost for kids. I fought in fentanyl in the Congress. I told the senator when I brought 12 mothers into the Senate who had pictures of their children who died from fentanyl laced with poison pills laced with fentanyl, bawling in tears. So I take this very serious. We have a lot of work to do, but I think we're very much better off than the Republican Party, because unlike us, their leader's done in 4 years, maybe less, and they don't know who they are. We know who we are, and we know we are fighters, and I ask for your vote. Thank you.
I'll invite Nate Snyder up to the podium.
Doesn't count this one. I'm Nate Snyder, and I have a story. My story is only possible here in America. Born in Bolivia and adopted by Jewish parents, a mother from Pittsburgh, a librarian, a father from South Philly. I grew up in a community where hard work and opportunity to find the American dream. These values, they taught me about the importance of hard work and progress, and it's possible when we all work together. I've had a long journey. I've organized workers to form their armed unions. I've led winning campaigns in red, blue, and purple states. I also safeguarded our communities by fighting domestic terrorism. These values are critically important. They define who we are, and more importantly, it's how we win. We need to stand for the values that uplift and support everyday Americans. And we also need to recognize that the landscape in which we organize and communicate has changed. We need to reimagine, rebuild, and win. And that's why I'm running for DNC chair. Thank you.
The next candidate is Ken Martin.
Thank you, Democrats. I'm here to urge you all to remember that we will win again. We must win again. We have to. Not for selfish reasons, not for the sake of winning, not to feel good or to be in charge or to pat ourselves on the back, but because working families deserve a government that gives a damn about them. We know the people are not Donald Trump's priority, but they are ours. Americans think the system is rigged, and they see us as part of that system. For the first time in modern history, modern polling has shown that the majority of Americans now believe that the Republican Party best represents the interests of the working class and the poor, and that the Democratic Party is the party of the wealthy and the elites. We have to go all in, Democrats, on reversing that perception with action, not words. I'm not here to win the argument like many here in Washington are. I'm here to win elections again. My mission is to turn red states purple, to turn purple states blue, and to hold our blue states with confidence. Let's spend some moments with our family, our friends, neighbors, and communities this holiday season, and then let's get to work, Democrats. We've got to roll up our sleeves and win again. Thank you so much.
Now we'll hear from Ben Wickler.
Ben Wickler, chair of the Democrats in Wisconsin, where Scott Walker and Republicans took over and tried to rig our state for the handful of billionaires at the top at the expense of working people. They smashed unions, they stomped on voting rights, they rigged our maps, they almost broke us, but we fought back. We unified our party across race and ethnicity, across gender and generation and geography. We organized year-round in small towns, rural areas, cities and suburbs alike, communicated online, in new media and in old media. We brought record resources to bear, and we are winning. We flipped 14 state legislative seats this year. We re-elected Tammy Baldwin. We added votes for Harris across our state. And now Trump and the GOP are going to try to rig this country for a tiny number of the richest people in the world. And we are the party of working people. We need to unite across all of our communities. We need to fight in every state and every territory. We need to build the battle plan to change how we communicate so we show what we mean when we say we fight for working folks. And if we do this, we will win, we will rebuild this party and rebuild this country. I'm asking for your vote for DNC chair so we can unite, fight, win, and make a difference in people's lives. Thank you.
And now I'll ask Jason Paul to come to the podium.
And I get to go last. My name is Jason Paul. I'm running for the DNC chair. My political story begins in 2000, when as an 8th grader I knocked on doors for Cole Lieberman in my native Connecticut. Cole won that election, and the injustice that follows that kept me in these 5 years. I played a role in a lot of campaigns, I even wrote a book, but I'm not asking you to consider me based primarily on what I've done. Others have done more. I seek your support because I have bold plans for what this party must become. I will share with you the most comprehensive approach of any candidate to retool our party from the ground up. Our challenge is to prove to people that politics can still make their lives better. Our hole is deeper than after 2004 or 2016, so the size of our imagination must match the size of our challenge. Our one place to start is our relationship with the people at the core of our party, those who vote in low turnout primaries or donate on IPO. We must stop treating them like ATMs and start treating them like partners. How we do that will be at the heart of my plan. We owe everyone to do better. Thank you.
That now concludes DNC Chair candidate remarks. We'll move now on to Treasurer. While we hear from our Treasurer candidate, we'll ask the Secretary candidates to join us up front. We currently have one candidate filed for Treasurer, and that's current DNC Treasurer Virginia McGregor. Virginia, you have 1 minute.
Thank you very much. In the days after the election, my 9-year-old grandson Teddy came home from school with a look of worry on his face. He said to me, "Mimi, is Donald Trump going to put you in jail?" That's what a classmate told him. There was a lot of fear after the election. I'm here, we're all here, because like Teddy, we have a great sense of unease and uncertainty about the future. So I decided to launch my re-election campaign for treasurer for 3 reasons. Number 1, if re-elected, I will provide consistency and certainty for our party and our new chair. Number 2, I'll continue to work hard for you. We have close working relationships with all of our team, and I'm a team player. I chaired Winifred Harris and delivered more than 50 speeches throughout the campaigns and was a proficient fundraiser. So I'll close by telling you what I told Teddy. Never live in fear. We always have to do what's right. We walk with faith, we build with hope the community, and that community starts right here in this room. Thank you very much.
We'll now move on to candidates for DNC Secretary. After Secretary candidate remarks, we'll move on to National Finance Chair. I'll ask those candidates to make their way to the front. Jason Ray, please join us at the podium to start Secretary candidate remarks.
Serving as your DNC Secretary has been the privilege of a lifetime, and I'm proud of the progress that we've made since my first election. From strengthening our communications, ensuring responsiveness, and building stronger relationships with members. I've worked to ensure that the office of the Secretary is a trusted advocate and resource for all DNC members. I'm particularly proud of the work that my team and I have done during the last 2 national conventions, certifying our delegates and putting in place a voting process to secure our nominee. Now, I know there's more to do to make the DNC even more transparent and responsive to our members, and I'm ready to take on those challenges. I want to find new ways to engage with our membership and make our meetings even more interactive and impactful. And I'm always committed. I pledge to continue to listen to your ideas, answer your questions, and work together to strengthen our party so that we may meet the challenges ahead. I would be honored to have your vote to continue serving our party secretary.
Next, we'll hear from Marilyn Davis.
Good afternoon. I am Marilyn Davis. I am running for DNC Secretary because we need a new leadership team that is engagement focused and brings new vision to the party. As a daughter of rural South Carolina, my life experiences, both personally and professionally, from serving as New Jersey's first Black woman Deputy Commissioner of the Department of Labor to working at AFSCME, in government, at the DNC, and in corporate America, will be valuable to the Office of Secretary and to the DNC leadership team. No other candidate for Secretary brings this level of diversity of experience to the office. When I am elected Secretary of the DNC, a new era of transparency, accountability, and efficiency begins. And the 92% of Black women who support the Democratic Party will have a seat at the table. Friends, yesterday's DNC should not be today's DNC. And that is what this race is about. Thank you so much for your support.
That concludes Secretary candidate remarks. We'll now move on to candidates for National Finance Chair, followed by candidates for Vice Chair of Civic Engagement and Voter Protection, if those candidates could make their way to the front. Chris had to depart, but is running for National Finance Chair. I'll invite Christopher Lowe to join us at the podium.
My name is Chris Lowe. I've been a DNC member for 8 years, co-chair of the Budget and Finance Committee, and now I sit with you on the Executive Committee. But I was also a Deputy National Finance Chair in 2017 to 2018. So I know from first hand how tough it was to raise money after that. I'm standing to serve a full 4-year term as National Finance Chair. And yes, we do need to raise the maximum amount of money that we can from our existing supporters. But I believe we also need some new approaches. We need a new approach to broadening and diversifying our pool of donors and fundraisers. A new approach to integrating the work of the states from a National Finance Committee. And a new approach to the transparency of the DNC, the NFC, and in the Budget and Finance Committee. I'm here to be that new face, and I'm committed to work with whoever is elected in the officer races during this election. This is the only political committee I've ever raised money for. It's the only one I ever will. I do not view this position as a bridge to any future role in the DNC or the administration, and I thank you for your time and look forward to your questions.
That concludes National Finance Chair candidate remarks. We'll now move on to candidates for Vice Chair of Civic Engagement and Voter Participation. We'll close out by hearing from Vice Chair at-large candidates, so I'll ask that those candidates remaining move to the front of the room. For candidates for Vice Chair of Civic Engagement and Voter Protection, I'll now ask Michael Blake to move to the podium for remarks.
Good afternoon, Buenos Tardes. My name is Michael Blake. You gave me the honor 8 years ago of being a Vice Chair at large. Let me convey why I'm asking to be your Vice Chair of Civic Engagement and Voter Participation. When we think about how we organize, we have to do it differently. When 93 of the 100 youth shows last year were NFL games, we have to think about sports and entertainment and gamers and how we mobilize. When we think about what has to happen around civic engagement, we can't be an organization that is just about electing a president. We have to be building a party and working every single day and having actual civic engagement all the time. We have to mobilize with our college Democrats, our high school Democrats, our young Democrats around what could be a schoolhouse rock 2.0. We have to think about disinformation and misinformation and be very clear that we were attacked on our other side, but let's also be very clear. In 1958, JFK said it best, so long as there's one child without milk, so long as there's 8 persons without a home. That is what's our responsibility right now. It can't just be that they are bad, we have to tell them why we are good. I traveled to 31 states as your Vice Chair in 2 countries. You gave me a chance to lead, I'm asking to lead again. As the only black man that is running right now, Donald Trump on a barbershop doesn't show he gets it, but people are not electing us because they don't think we are as well. I'm Michael Blake and I'm asking for your vote for Vice Chair. Thank you.
Next, we'll hear from Joyce Beatty.
I'm Joyce Beatty, and I'm ready to roll up my sleeves and bring renewed and new life to this position. Why me? Proven national track record in civic engagement, worked tirelessly to expand access to the ballot box, led the House passage of the John R. Lewis Voting Rights Act as CBC chair, led the strategy that got 44,000 black women on Win with Black Women, spoke 3 times in prime time at the Democratic National Convention, past LCC member to the DNC, arrested and jailed for voting rights. I have traveled relentlessly with the CBC and the Harris campaign to Nebraska, Maine, Philadelphia, California, South Carolina, Nevada, Michigan, Ohio, Georgia, and more. I'm ready to be your person. I lead well, but I follow better. I want your support because every voice, every moment, every vote counts. I want your support, and I'm Congresswoman Joyce Beatty, and I approve this message.
I'll ask Sheikh Rahman to to join us at the podium.
Good afternoon, Democrats. My name is Sheikh Rahman, and I represent the most diverse state senate district in Georgia and one of the top 10 in the country. I have people from all 57 states and territories, and also people from more than 181 countries, speak 108 different languages, and I'm blessed to represent them. I'm grateful for being elected for the 4th term past November. I also had the honor to start with the DNC from 2016 to 2020. The current diversity of this country should reflect the leadership at the DNC. So I'm here to represent them. It's about time we have a seat at the table. As we navigate the uncertainty of the next 4 years, I want to be a part of the team that will win the future and bring changes to the White House, to the State House, to the courthouse. I'm asking for your support. God bless America. God bless you.
That concludes remarks from our candidates for Vice Chair of Civic Engagement and Voter Participation. We'll now move on to candidates for Vice Chair at Large. I'll ask Michelle Dietrich to join us at the podium.
Good afternoon, I'm Michelle Dietrich, a union member, farmer, battleground state organizer from Michigan, national environmental advocate who chairs the DNC Environmental Council, and a former elected leader who flipped a rural seat from red to blue. Our party and our country stand at a crossroads. To meet this moment, the DNC needs to rebuild, organize, and reinvigorate, including an electoral audit looking back a decade to understand long-term trends and how Democrats can win back our multiracial, multi-generational, working-class base. Increased investments in state parties to organize every state, every year, contest every race. A long-term, nimble media strategy, and support DNC caucuses and councils to connect with voters in key communities. I want us to win at every level, and that's hard work. A grandchild of subsistence farmers, I was born to a Latina teenage mom and a telephone lineman in a rural Wisconsin town. Hard work is in my blood, and I will give my all to serving as your vice chair. Thank you.
Next, we'll hear from Shasti Conrad.
Hello, my name is Shasti Conrad, and I am the first woman of color and the youngest chair of the Washington State Democrats, as well as the first South Asian woman to lead a party in the country and first Asian chair in the lower 48. I've worked for some of the best organizers, including President Obama and Malala, and I've led at every level, from campaigns to county and state leadership. In 2024, Washington pushed back against the political winds. We swept our statewide offices for the first time in 60 years, grew our legislative majority, and won tough, targeted congressional races. In Washington, we succeeded because we embraced ideological diversity and built trust with our voters. And that's what I want to bring to our national party. Not just a rebrand, but a rebuild. Rebuild trust with working class, with young voters, with rural voters, with communities that feel left behind. It's more than messaging tweets. It's showing up in people's lives with a vision that inspires hope and delivers results. This work is personal. My mom died a month before retirement working a union job for health care so she could get a kidney transplant that never came. We have to work and fight for people like my mom, and that's why I'm asking for your vote to be the next DNC Vice Chair. Thank you very much.
Now I'll ask David Hogg to come up.
Hi everyone, my name is David Hogg. I'm a co-founder of March for Our Lives and survivor of the Parkland shooting. Thank you, Chairman Harrison, for putting all this together, and to the audience for being here. Chairman, I heard what you said, what your son said about hope and dreams, and he's right. It will take a long time. But that's why it's so concerning that we've seen young people shift 21 points to the right. When I brought this up, I was told by the consultants of the party, I was texted by them, that I just needed to shut my mouth, and that I was wrong. Our party is in the stranglehold of consultants at the detriment of the working class. We need to stick up to the sycophants that are in this party and build a party where people are told what they need to hear and not just what they want to hear because they're being paid to say that, right? We need to make sure that we stand up and empower the young people, especially considering the tiny number of people in this room that are under 30 as well, because it's going to take a long time to build this party, and that's why I'm considering a run for this for vice chair, to empower the next generation, to help make your son's dream a reality. Because it's going to take bringing in that generation, and that's why I'd love to hear from all of you, because I'm considering running for vice chair. Thank you so much.
Next up is Artie Blanco.
I'm running for vice chair because our party is at a crossroads, giving us an opportunity for a new design. And it starts with being unafraid to do what we must to win. In 2009, I answered Harry Reid's call to expand the Latino electorate in Nevada, leading a 14-month grassroots voter campaign connecting with Latino working families on their struggles, and then delivering a message of truth, hope, and economic opportunity. And unfortunately, we have failed. That's why I'm running to remind voters and ourselves that Democrats do fight for working families, with year-round organizing and constant dialogue with them, listening and adjusting our message and delivery to meet where they are. If we don't, we'll keep losing ground. I'm ready to fight for every vote and help us win together again. Elect me, and let's get to work on a redesign that includes all strategies, not just one or two. I'm Artie Blanco, first-generation American, second-generation Democrat, second-generation union activist, running for vice chair of the DNC.
Gina Repass, can you join us at the podium?
Good morning, fellow Democrats. My name is Gina Repass. I agree with Chair Harrison that representation matters, and I'm standing up here representing multiple things, not the least of which is I'm the first ever Black woman to chair the Kansas Democratic Party. Yes, there are Black people in Kansas, but there are Democrats in Kansas. I am a red state, middle of the country Democrat. Let me tell you what that means. It means we know that in order to win big, we have to win small. When the Dobbs decision came down, Kansas was the first state to vote, and everyone said, if you guys lose close, it'll give us hope. We won big because we understand how to do that. We also understand in red states, there's a difference between investment and allowance. Yes, we need the money, but let me make this live for you. When my children were in high school, we gave them an allowance. But when we wrote checks for them to go to college, that was an investment. When we gave them an allowance, that was different than when I was the PTA president at their school every day, boots on the ground, organizing, raising funds, and supporting them. That's what investment means. Let me tell you that we at the DNC need voices from the middle. Red state Democrats are out here crying to be heard. My name is Gina Repass. I'm the proud chair of the Kansas Democratic Party, and I appreciate your vote. Thank you.
We'll now hear from Jim Zogby.
I want everybody to win. This is an incredible cast of characters. And so much has been said that I was going to say, but let me just say something about me, because Jim Zogby and I'm running for vice chair, and I hope you'll elect me, because I've been on this party for 32 years and I've seen everything come and go, and I've tried to press for reforms that never got made, but they've got to happen now so that people don't come to meetings and feel like they're simply props sitting in chairs. We have some of the most talented people in the country in our party. They don't get to make decisions. David's right, it's consultants who make decisions. We have to empower our body to become the governing body of the Democratic Party. That's who we are. Little about me. 1984, 40 years ago, I got to nominate Jesse Jackson for president. I started this way. I said, I'm the son of an illegal immigrant. I'm going to nominate for president the great-grandson of a slave. Where else but America could that happen? 40 years later, I'm going to run for vice chair. That means something to me, and I hope it means something to you, because it matters. Thank you.
Next is Malcolm Kenyatta.
Good afternoon. Good afternoon. I grew up in a black church. I hear somebody say something. My name is Representative Malcolm Kenyatta, and I'm running to be the next vice chair of the Democratic Party. And I'm running for a reason that we don't talk a lot about in politics, and it's love. I grew up in a working poor family in North Philadelphia to a social worker and a home health aide who I lost both of them by the time I was 27. We knew what it meant to have to move multiple times because we couldn't afford the rent. We knew what it meant to have to sign up for a program called CHIP that you might have heard of. We knew what it meant to need access to affordable housing. We need a strong Democratic Party because there are people I love that are counting on us. We need a strong Democratic Party because when our candidates win, we can center and deliver for working people. We need a strong Democratic Party because we know what is at stake. You're sitting around this table because you love this party. And if you love something, you're willing to tell it the truth. And the truth is we have to change. We have to think bigger, we have to fight harder, and I want to be a part of doing that work with you. God bless you. My name is Representative Malcolm Kenyatta, and do everything I can to earn your vote.
We'll close out with Wakenya Clinton.
Mr. Chairman, and to all of you esteemed members of this body, thank you so much for the opportunity to speak to y'all today. Listen, we were all shocked by the results of this past election. And I know many of us are still trying to wonder, where do we go from here? But let me just say this. It's not time to shrivel up. It's time to strike back. It is a time to step aside. It is time to step up. When I came to the DNC in 2017, we were in a very similar position. We were at a state where we had just lost this election to Donald Trump, and our party was in a state of disarray. It's time for us to get back to the things that make us Democrats. It's time to get back to the American people. The people who don't make decisions sitting at tables with white linen, but people who make decisions sitting at tables that are checkered with unpaid medical bills, eviction notices, and overdrawn grocery bills. This is a party of the people, and it's time for us to reclaim it. So I ask for all of your support in my candidacy for DNC Vice Chair. Thank you.
That concludes remarks from all candidates.
Folks, let's give a big thank you to all of the candidates running for DNC office positions. We look forward to hearing more from everyone in the coming months, and that concludes our business for today's meeting. Before executive committee members, before you leave, though, I do need you to see Clay or me afterwards. But we still need to wrap up with a few more little things here. So Secretary Ray, at this time, do you have any updates to share with the executive committee?
Just a reminder that our next meeting is January 30th to February 1st, and that Harvard please make that green boxes and book those rooms now for the block closing.
Before we conclude the meeting, I would like to thank the DNC staff for all of their work in making this meeting happen. Thank you, staff. I also want to thank the wonderful hotel staff for their hospitality. Our court reporter for making sure that we have a permanent record. Thank you. And I just want to wish you all a very, very happy holiday season. This is a wonderful time to be with your family and with your friends, to be with the folks who you love and who love you. And so please, my friends, I know we sometimes allow this work to consume us, but never forget the grounding that we all have. It is those people that we go back home to, those people who are always with us through thick and thin, who need you in this time. And so make sure that you spend some time and carve out that time with them. And again, before you leave, please see me, either executive committee members, see Clay, who's right there, or see me. I have a little token of thanks to each and every one of you on the executive committee that I would like to share. So with no other business before us today, the chair will entertain a motion to adjourn. Is there a second? We have a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye. All opposed say nay. The ayes have it, and the meeting